Good morning. You are waking up to Ireland AM.
You are indeed. We're halfway through the week. It is the 31st of May.
I've got my T-shirt on. I'm feeling very... We've got the birds. It's gorgeous.
People are finishing secondary school. We're very close into the leaving cert. So we're going to have great weather for the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, leaving certs, and thank you for your service.
We are enjoying the sunshine at the Met. Now, first up this hour, with reports of parents dishing out up to €500 on voluntary school contributions. We're going to discuss how voluntary they are and ask, why are some schools asking for so much?
We'd love to hear from you on this. We got lots of messages yesterday. We want to keep this going. 0896 111 111. Also, with motorists set to feel a pinch at the pump as fuel prices increase from midnight tonight, we bring you everything you need to know about that.
Plus, later in the show, we're going to be talking crime thrillers with Dublin writer Gill Perdue.
Yes, Alan is inside this morning. Hi, Alan, and wait for this. Look at him. He's not wearing blue, he's not wearing navy, and he's not wearing brown. I don't even understand who it is.
The sun is out. The sun is out.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Now, later we're going to catch up with broadcaster Derek Mooney, who's talking wildlife wonders. Edward Hayden is going to be serving up the ultimate alfresco food. And is there someone in your house who's starting exams next week? We've just been chatting about that. Find out the best brain-boosting foods. Now, Deric is in Donabate in County Dublin this morning. Deric, it's looking beautiful there. How are you getting on?
Absolutely. Look, we've got the shades on, we've got the shorts on. We couldn't have picked a better morning to come to the beach. 25 degrees in Eynn, County Clare yesterday, the hottest place in the country. 24.7 down at Shannon Airport, also in the Banner County, closely behind it, and it looks like we're going to surpass that out there today. 25, even 26 degrees, so lots of sunshine to be enjoyed. Now, following all our antics with the classic cars yesterday, at least, we've decided to take it down a couple of gears, so to speak. Jen, what are we going to be doing this morning?
So this morning we're going through a mindful movement practice with some breathwork and meditation.
Oh, that sounds absolutely delicious, guys. Namaste. Have a great day. Back to the studio.
Inhale.
And
I can't.
Actually put my coffee down for that one. Right, thank you very much. Doesn't it look class?
It looks beautiful.
If you can get to the beach today. Now it is time to get the news over in the Virgin Media News Hub. Over to you, Anne O'Donnell.
Thanks, Tommy. Good morning. Well, motorists are being reminded that the price of diesel and petrol will go up from midnight tonight. The increase in excise duty is the first of a number of hikes on fuel costs.
From tomorrow, the cost of filling her up is going up. Excise duty on a litre of petrol will increase by 6 cents, diesel by 5 cents and green diesel will go up by 1 cent, reversing the cuts brought in by the government last year. The tax reductions were introduced on a temporary basis as fuel prices soared as a result of Russia's war with Ukraine. At one point, prices at the pumps peaked at over €2 due to the energy crisis. Now the cost of fuel is much lower, around $1.57 for petrol and $1.47 for diesel. But from midnight, the first of 3 excise hikes will be reintroduced over several months. The second increase will take place in September and then another in October. Tomorrow's price rise will add around €3 to the average tank of petrol and around $2.50 to the average tank of diesel. An unwelcome move for people already struggling with the cost of living. Trish Laverty, Virgin Media News.
A number of recommendations to try to prevent familicide and domestic violence deaths have been published in a new report. The recommendations are including a national study on the prevalence of domestic violence, risk assessment protocols and better training for those who encounter abuse victims. To the US now, where the highly anticipated debt ceiling deal is headed to the floor of Congress. Well, the House Rules Committee voted to advance the bill last night, despite a lot of opposition to it, clearing a key hurdle for the legislation. The full House is expected to vote on the issue today.
The Fiscal Responsibility Act is a historic step to restoring fiscal sanity and holding Washington accountable. This will be the largest deficit reduction in history. For the first time in a decade, spending year over year will be cut while still providing critical funding for veterans and national defense. This deal claws back tens of billions in unspent COVID funds, the largest rescission combined in the history of Congress.
North Korea's attempt to put the country's first spy satellite into space ended in failure earlier today. The rocket crashed into the sea. However, the launch triggered emergency warnings in Japan and in the South Korean capital Seoul, where the city accidentally issued an evacuation warning. Well, North Korea is now vowing to conduct a second launch.
We have to analyse North Korea admitting its failure with the space rocket launch in 3 different perspectives. Firstly, North Korea is trying to show North Korea is a normal country. Secondly, North Korea is trying to prevent other countries from making assumptions on the failure. Lastly, North Korea is showing its will to carry out the second launch.
Elsewhere in Canada, dangerous wildfires are continuing to threaten homes and properties in Halifax. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston banned all activity in forests and is now pleading with residents to observe the burn ban. He said the wildfire damage is extensive and heartbreaking.
With the weather changing, temperatures increasing, humidity is dropping a little bit, getting warmer, winds picking up. So the hotspots that we're seeing are coming back to life.
And disgraced Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes has begun an 11-year sentence in the US for defrauding investors who bankrolled her healthcare startup business. The 39-year-old raised hundreds of millions of dollars while making false claims that the company had created technology to test for a wide range of medical conditions using just a few drops of blood. She surrendered to a Texas prison last night.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Thank you, Chair, and a very good morning. We're live here up at Donabate Beach in North County Dublin this morning. We're kicking off with a beautiful morning yoga practice, and we're going to be meeting some of the crew here behind me in and around 8:45. So get your gear ready, get your mats ready too, and that's all on the way later on this morning. Anyway, let's take an opening look at weather together now, and I have to say we had a beautiful day yesterday. In fact, one of the warmest days we've had in a long, long time. 25 degrees down in Ina in County Clare, and out there this morning, the most beautiful sunrise onto the east coast, and elsewhere we're seeing lovely, lovely sunshine now to kickstart your Wednesday morning in those light to locally moderate north to northeasterly breezes. Now, right across today, once again, that ridge of high pressure is delivering plenty of sunshine out there today. Once again, we're seeing a high UV index, a high risk of sunburn, so do stay safe if you are out and about or if you're heading to the beaches this Wednesday. All eyes today on those temperatures. Again, it's going to be one of the warmest days of the year so far. We're talking values there of 19 to 24, even 25 to 26 degrees. Hottest once again through parts of the west, and they've really been enjoying really warm days into the western half of the country over the last couple of days. Right across then into tonight, mainly dry and settled once again, similar to the last couple of nights. Patchy mist, a taster of fog as well feeding its way into tomorrow morning, with values back to around 8 to 14 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here at the moment. Beautiful sunny start in Donabate in North County Dublin. We'll be back again live 7:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Hello, time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with the Irish Times. Its headline: number of Catholics in state falls as overall population ages. According to the census, the number of people who call themselves Catholic has fallen from 79% to 69%, whilst the population grew to over 5 million.
16,000 Irish victims of global scam lose €40 million. A Garda investigation has identified 300 suspects from an organised fraud gang who use a specialist website to commit global scams worth over €115 million. That's the front page of the Irish Independent.
The Herald also goes with that story: scam gang hit 16,000 for 40 million. Criminals using the specialised websites were offered tools to disguise phone calls so they appeared to be from a trusted organisation like a bank.
The Sun leads with I'll be back. Artificial intelligence could wipe out and must be treated like a nuclear threat, experts insist. A letter signed by renowned AI professors and CEOs said humanity is at risk because of Terminator-style death bots.
Good morning. Welcome to Ireland AM. We don't have any of those here. We're going to move on to the Examiner. It leads with the nursing home sector falling over. More nursing home closures are inevitable unless a funding crisis in the sector is tackled urgently by the government. This stark prediction follows a new Nursing Home Ireland report detailing the challenges faced by the sector.
The Irish Daily Mail goes with raised taxes or increased pension age. New figures from the 2022 census showed that in just 6 years, the number of people aged over 65 rose by more than 140,000 as the government faces a stark choice to either raise taxes or increase the pension age.
The Mirror's front page, flaking hell. Ice cream lovers went into meltdown yesterday as crumbling flakes ruined their 99s. Meanwhile, Gardaí are hunting thieves who stole a giant ice cream cone from a shop in Letterkenny, County Donegal. I did not make any of that up.
The Star also leads with call 999. Cone centres panic as Egyptian chocolate is falling apart, leaving fears for the tasty treat as we hit the beach.
Are you terrified for your tasty treat
I had
as
one
you hit the
yesterday
beach?
and it was absolutely
Was
delicious.
it delicious? Apparently they've moved production of the Cadbury's Flake Factory to Cairo. And they've become even more... Wasn't that the whole
more
point of a flake?
flaky.
More flaky.
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway,
they've increased the flake.
Has it annoyed you? We'd love to hear. Let us know. 0896 111 111.
If you can send us pictures of them falling apart and ruining your summer, we'd love that. It's time now for a very quick break. Now, on the way, we were speaking about this yesterday, and this is about to do with money as parents struggle to make ends meet. We're discussing voluntary contributions in schools. You had lots to say yesterday.
We sure did get loads of text messages on that. We're going to be discussing it after the break.
Welcome back. Now, we were talking yesterday about a report from the St Vincent de Paul about the cost of voluntary school contributions that sparked debate over the pressure on parents to pay these fees.
So, here to discuss is Principal of East Glendalough School, Craig Petrie, and columnist with the Irish Times, Jen Hogan. Good morning.
Good morning.
To you both. Thank you very much for coming in. Jen, we got a huge reaction to this yesterday from a lot of parents messaging about the fees that they're having to pay and some students' names and being pulled out in front of the whole class. What have you heard from them?
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to parents about this yesterday in particular, and similar comments to that. Now, perhaps not names on the board, but children being identified because they're being called out. Some of the messages reminding children that the voluntary contribution needed to be paid were going through the children rather than directly to the parents. Now, the majority were going straight to the parents, but there were the odd child called out. Things like them not getting access to their lockers, not getting access to homework books. So it became obvious within the class whose parents hadn't yet paid the voluntary contribution. And parents also saying that they felt there was this additional pressure because you had to opt out of the voluntary contribution. When people are so, I suppose, private about their financial situation, we don't talk very honestly about these always. The idea that you had to contact the principal to say, I'm not in a position to pay this, rather than you opting in if you were in a position to pay it. And the amounts that schools were looking for kind of ranged from €70 up to €600. So quite a big difference in what schools were asking. But definitely, I suppose the strong message coming in from parents was that they didn't feel it was voluntary. In spite of the word being there, they didn't feel the message from the school was that these contributions were voluntary.
And we do want to hear from you this morning, 0896 111 111. And Craig, I suppose we're sitting here and you can't speak for the Department of Education, nor can you speak for every school in Ireland. But can you tell us what the situation is in your school?
Yeah, so we have a voluntary contribution that is at the higher end. It's up above €400. It's a lot of money for folk. We would be asking folk once at the start of the year if they can please help us with that. We're not chasing people, we're not sending out letters, we're not putting names on boards. Really, apart from one member of staff in the office, I'm the only person who would know who is paying and who isn't.
Okay.
And if people aren't in a position to pay, they're simply not in a position to pay. That's the reality for folk. And we're not going to be pursuing folk, nor are we going to be punishing or naming their children on account of that.
So for over €400 is on the higher scale. Yeah. So what does that money go towards?
So for us as a small school, we have a commitment, I suppose, that we've had over many years to our parents and our students that we want to keep as broad a curriculum as we can. And so in order to do that, we need to try and employ an extra teacher or two. And so that's where a lot of our voluntary contribution will go. The other is
wages, right?
To pay the salary of a teacher.
Yeah. And then the other big area that it goes to is we're a school that's interested in playing sport. We're playing girls and boys, hockey, rugby, basketball, GAA, soccer, athletics. We've all of these areas. The buses to go to those places, if we want to go, cost money. And a lot of our voluntary contribution goes towards that as well.
And I realise that school is a mini society. It has to function in some way, and there is a social contract. I completely understand that. But there are probably some parents who are like, my kids don't play sport. I don't want to be paying any money for all of these other kids so that they can go to these things. And also, do we not have to ask questions of the Department of Education as to go, why in God's name are you not paying for teachers in my school?
And they do. They pay for almost all the teachers, but we just need that little bit extra, we find, as a small school, and that's not going to be the same for everybody. But there is a funding shortfall. Like, I wouldn't be asking people for a voluntary contribution, and in our school it's a genuinely voluntary contribution. I wouldn't be asking them for it if we didn't need it. If the money was already there, we're not gold plating the taps. We're not sending staff off on jollies. Like, this is something we need to keep the doors open and to keep the school going.
Jen, do you reckon that this is a similar story for a lot of the schools, that it is to try and fund extra teachers, like that the pupils are going to benefit from this money? I suppose that's what every school's obviously going to say.
Yeah, I suppose, I mean, parents aren't disputing that, the whole idea that, it's going in towards the school for the better of everybody who attends the school, but it's the pressure that they're feeling on top of everything else. And maybe some of the pressures they feel also stem from other costs that are coming from schools. Things like, I mean, if you're an iPad school, you have huge overheads when your child is starting in first year in particular, and you're buying the iPad, you still have to buy the books, despite the fact that the world is boring and we have to have books and an iPad. Yep. And you have those costs in uniforms, and you've got kids who are men and women's size now, and they need uniforms and they need, adult shoes. But the crested uniforms are things like that schools haven't moved away from in spite of the 2017 circular. So parents are feeling this.
The 2017 circular, which was sent out from the Department of Education.
Yeah, sent out, and which indicated that schools were to move away from the crested uniform, and if they wanted to use a crest one that you can sew on or iron on. I suppose uniform pieces could be bought in several different shops, or they didn't have to just go to the one shop where you paid a premium price. Things that would make life easier for parents. That hasn't happened in an awful lot of schools. And then they're asked for a voluntary contribution on top of this. So you have these huge costs that they're already trying to foot. There isn't the pressure being taken off parents by schools who haven't made this move towards the generic uniform. And then they're asked for a voluntary contribution on top of it. So it's not that they're disputing that the schools have a shortfall, and there's huge frustration that the department aren't funding schools in the way that they need to. It's just that it's coming back on parents, and they're having to make these huge sacrifices, whether it's pulling kids out of activities because they have to meet it. I had one parent tell me that she paid for her voluntary contribution out of a credit union loan because that's the level that she felt of, I suppose, obligation that there was to pay it, that she didn't feel it was voluntary. And they don't want to be parents don't want to let the school down either. They do feel it's part of a community. You want to try and pay it if you can.
Do you find the pressure? What sort of pressure do you have parents that come to you? Are you quite open about saying, listen, if you can't pay it?
Yeah, we do. So two things on that, I suppose. One is that every September I stand up in front of our Parents Association and I account for this money. This is what we get and this is what we spend it on. We want to be as open as we possibly can.
Which isn't the case in every school.
No, but we also have parents who can't pay, and we have parents at the other end, not just who can't pay, but who might need some assistance getting books and uniforms and transport for their children. And we spend a bit of time in the school trying to access support from benefactors outside the school to try and help with that, so nobody's missing out. It is a big deal. Finance in schools is a huge deal for everybody.
It's been decades now that we've been talking about the situation with books, new editions of books and uniforms in this country. It's like everyone has been talking about it. Craig, what's going on? There is a circular, but do you talk to other schools and other principals where you're like, why in God's name do we have to buy a new edition of a book every single year when it's the exact same thing as it was the year before? We've got environmental things that we have to do in this country.
And the fact that we're still producing books that have workbooks with them or that have portfolios with them, and the fact that I suppose part of it is that we're moving courses, and we were talking about junior cycle off air, and that there are new things coming online, and that's good. But it's still something that we need to look at, because whether it's a primary or secondary, the constant stream of new books every year and of new workbooks is enormous. And at second level, particularly when you're going into first year, when you're going into fifth year, the costs are extraordinary.
So it's something that you talk about.
Yes, it is. And we're frustrated about it. And schools do try, by and large, to maintain an instance where we don't move books every single year, where our departments try and stay on the one book, but then something comes along that's good or one goes out of date, and it's very difficult not to move with the times when the school down the road might be looking at books that are better.
Okay. Yeah, but something has to be done. Yes. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Listen, thank you so much for coming and joining us this morning, Craig. Craig Petrie, Principal of East Glendalough School in Wicklow, and of course Jen Hogan with the Irish Times. Great to have you both with us.
0896 111 111. We would love to hear from you this morning as to what's going on, whether you're a teacher, a student, or you've got kids in school. Still to come this hour, we bring you the latest on the stories that are making today's papers, including flaky cones.
Very important.
Jen's staying. She's got a lot to say about this.
After the break, we are going to be taking a closer look at the upcoming rise in fuel prices. How
Good news
exciting.
all around.
See you very shortly.
Now, fuel prices will increase from midnight tonight, with motorists set to feel the financial strain as further price hikes are planned for later in the year.
Here with the latest on this is motoring journalist from the Sunday Independent, Geraldine Herbert, the editor. Geraldine, it's lovely to have you here. What's going on? It's not budget time. What's happening?
I know, I'm the bearer of bad news again. OK, if you cast your mind back to March 2022, we had really, really volatile and high fuel prices. In fact, they were the highest that the AA had recorded since they started in 1991. And it was a combination of the pandemic, the supply shortage, and then, of course, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Yeah. So the government at that point cut excise. Now, excise is charged per litre, so it makes no difference about the price. It's a set amount on every litre. So they cut it by 20 cents. It actually resulted in about 21 cent on petrol when you take in VAT and everything, and about 16 cent on diesel. Now, the bad news is that is being restored. I suppose the slightly good news is it's been restored in 3 stages. So the first is going to happen on Thursday morning. There's going to be a 6 cent increase on diesel, or on petrol, and a 5 cent increase on diesel.
So if it's going in stages, that means so incrementally, then we'll see another 6 and then another 6.
Well, no, there's actually going to be more. It'll be 7 cent on the 1st of September on petrol, and 6 cent and 5 cent on diesel. And then by the 31st of October, it'll be 8 cent on petrol and 6 cent on diesel, and it'll be fully restored.
So so by the end of the year, it's going to be fully back.
Yeah.
And I mean, how much does the government take out of this? When you're saying, when we go to the pumps and we spend €30, how much does the government get on that, on taxes and
OK, roughly, if you're buying petrol, they get about half it. So if you're spending €30, they're getting 15. And if you're using diesel, it's slightly less. It's about 45%. So given the fact that we pay so much in tax as it is, this is really going to annoy people.
So the argument here is that these excises and duties have been on petrol and diesel for such a long time. This is what funds the country. This is what funds our hospital. This is what funds our roads. This is what funds our school. And as we all know, they are all running perfectly, and it's fantastic how they're spending that money. So they're kind of like, listen, we did you a favour, tough, right? That's basically it. You were talking about just a minute ago about the budget surplus. We've got a budget surplus of 10 billion is about what we're at a budget surplus. They could have kept this going for a bit longer, right?
They could have definitely kept this going. And I would have said, look, for a number of reasons, that, OK, motorists are probably the bottom of the pile in terms of who should be looked after. But motorists are renters, they're mortgage payers. We're all feeling the impact of the cost of living crisis at the moment. We have, the highest, electricity prices in Europe? So, I mean, this, to me, this is very little to do, because in the end of the day, if fuel prices go up, that increases inflation. Inflation rises, hurts everyone. So this is something that it would have been a small amount to just leave in place for another while.
Because, Geraldine, you said that the prices were huge, and this is why the cut came in, because the price. Where are we now on prices?
Yeah, I suppose it's probably the best time if you're going to increase prices at the moment. They're back, according to the AA, about where they were in September 2021, and that was just when they were the most stable, and then they started to rise. I suppose the worry more than anything is what happens during the summer. If fuel prices go up, then people will really notice every cent extra. So at the moment, they're OK. Probably most people. I mean, I think according to pumps.ie at the moment, the average price being paid for petrol around the country is anywhere between about 153 and 155 per litre. On diesel, it's about 142, 144. Again, it depends where you're buying it. So 6 or 5 cent. There isn't going to be a huge difference there for people. But if prices, as I said, went up during the summer and suddenly we felt the full brunt of that cut being restored in October, that could be a very different situation for people.
Yeah.
So the fact is that this is something that the government have been reaping for absolutely years. We always go, when you go on holidays and you're like, the petrol here is so cheap, what's going on here? They're just not taking as much, like other governments aren't taking as much, or not putting as much duty and excise onto their petrol and diesel.
Yeah, we pay, as I said, a huge amount of taxes, motors, and we pay all sorts of the NORA tax, there's the carbon tax, there's excise, there's VAT, you name it. I mean, for one product, there's a hell of a lot of taxes on it, and about 50% is paid. So.
And this is probably going to get worse as we try to meet these greenhouse targets that we have, CO2 emissions, and we know that the carbon tax is certainly there, but that
will go up
with every budget, right?
Yeah.
Like every single budget, we're seeing that going up.
So, Geraldine, like for people who are looking in this morning and they're maybe worried, like with the increases as well, on top of everything else, cost of living crisis at the moment, what can we do? Are there small little things that we can do to reduce that ourselves?
Yeah, look, the first thing is...
So we're not going to the pumps as often?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the general advice is fill your car tonight before those prices go up.
Is it midnight tonight?
Yeah, so definitely do that. But yeah, your style of driving can have a huge impact on your fuel economy. So if you just slow down, just no harsh acceleration, no harsh braking, all of that has a huge fuel penalty. Just take it easy, smooth driving. You'd be surprised the difference that could make. And also shop around for fuel. There's a huge difference in prices. Now, obviously you can't shop around too much because you're using fuel.
You're travelling to try and get it
exactly, but it's on your route.
When you've spent the 6 cent getting to the garage.
No, on your route to work, kind of keep an eye on the prices, places that you pass on a regular basis.
Do you keep an eye on prices?
Yep.
Do you?
Yeah, I would,
Yeah, I've got 2 places that I go to, and between the 2 of them, they're always the cheapest.
Wow, see, I never do that now, because I just know the one I go to is the one closest to my house.
You don't have to have any loyalty to a petrol station.
I know that.
Because it's all the same.
And it can, even a few cent can make a big difference, because when they've restored this entire cut, it'll probably put an average of about €10 on the cost of a fill of a full tank.
And if you're doing that every week over the year, you're adding hundreds of euros.
Yeah.
Can you remember the outrage in this country when it got over €1?
I know.
It was like the outrage in this country back in 2007, 2008 when it got over €1.
But even the volatile prices, do you remember it went to over €2?
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's not that long ago that it was that high. So at the moment we're doing well, and it's a really good time for the government to sneak this in. But as I said, if prices were to rise during the summer, and fuel prices are always very volatile. Yeah, so we just don't know. So like by the 31st of October, who knows what situation we'll be in.
Will you bring us in a pretty car next time that we can't afford?
I have a nice one for you next time. And you definitely can't afford it.
And of course, let us know at home, do you go to do you look around, do you shop around to go to buy your petrol or your diesel?
And you should.
And if you live near Alan Hughes, can you tell him where to go? That's what he's asking, essentially. Where should I be
Anywhere in North Dublin that sells just cheap petrol.
We'd love to know. Geraldine Herbert, as always, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
But do indeed, 0896 111 111, let us know, do you shop around? And how much is petrol and diesel in your area? What are you saying, cheap is around 155? 150?
153.55 for petrol and 42 to 44 for diesel.
Okay, can you beat that?
Castlebar.
Can you beat that? I bet you someone's going to text in beating that.
We're coming up, we're looking at the stories behind the headlines. We'll talk to you very shortly on Ireland AM. Welcome back. The results of the 2022 census are in, and the headline is that the country's population has topped 5 million for the first time in over a century and a half. While ice cream lovers, you may need to brace yourselves. Are you okay? I know you've been...
Is that to do with the census as well?
You need to brace yourself because we've got big news coming very shortly for you.
Don't know if we do. But joining us with this morning's big stories, Barry Gallagher from the Irish Sun. Great to have you with us.
Hello, Barry.
Good to be here.
So the census came out yesterday. We've topped 5 million for the first time ever.
Yeah, since we're back to pre-famine numbers. So 1851, I think, 171 years. So yeah, we're sitting at 5,149,000. So it's a big jump. Up from 4.7 million in 2016. You know, that's a huge jump.
That's a huge amount of people that have to be paid for.
Yeah, that's the worrying side of things, I suppose. Yeah, especially as you know the population's also getting older, and you know, that's going to start putting a little bit of
pressure.
Yeah,
400,000 people is what we're kind of talking about that are now in the country that weren't here in 2016. So that is obviously where the government are going, lads, do you pay attention to the population?
That's it. The front of the Daily Mail this morning, their big headline is that the government are going to have to make a decision whether they either increase the pension age or they're going to have to increase taxes. And when you see the highest increase in the population, it's in the over 70s.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone up to 26%. So that ageing population is going to have to be paid for.
They are, yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, up 140,000, 2016, like that's a massive jump. And, you know, there's a lot of big debate now of what's going to be done here. You know, whether it's a case of increasing the pension age, but I mean, you know, that's been discussed, I think, last year, and they kept it at 66 years of age, despite, you know, strong objections from experts like the ones that we're speaking with the Daily Mail.
Is that just something that they don't want to upset the voters?
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's obviously too unpopular to do it, even though the country desperately needs to increase the pension age.
I suppose who wants to be the leading party that increases the pension age? Who wants to do that? Like, nobody will be happy about that.
They're looking at Emmanuel Macron going, I don't want a piece of that, Emmanuel. You do that.
We'll be rioting on the streets. Yeah, you never know. But like, one of the other options is putting up PRSI. But you know, one of the other, I suppose, has to be done, because I mean, you know, there's been warnings put out on this before, and our population's only getting older.
And I suppose when you're looking at it this way, it's like, if you are over 70 and you've worked your entire life and you've paid your PRSI and you've paid your USC, you're like, well, why? Hey, don't be coming for me right now. I've done everything right. But I suppose when and older people are the ones who vote. Like, they're the ones who come out in their numbers. And if you go after younger people, well, they're just not going to vote at all. So it's like, what do we do? Who do we annoy here?
It's such a difficult balancing act, you know. Do you upset your workforce, or do you upset your previous?
Is that not what
voters?
good leadership is actually doing what's best for the country? Is that not what the government are meant to do?
Yeah, you know, balancing those books is just very tricky, you know.
And when you see the population going above 5 million, and it's only going one direction at the minute. Tough decisions have to be made. Like, we're seeing this huge surplus of money coming in, and they're going to put it on savings to look after for a rainy day, probably to pay for these pension numbers. But should the country be building for an infrastructure for a population of 8 million, of 10 million? You know, building the hospitals, the highways, building the school systems that are there actually that we can enjoy and use. Because nowadays it feels like Ireland is a very wealthy country in paper, but actually in reality everything is so expensive.
Yeah, I suppose, you know, with corporation tax and stuff like that, but these aren't, you know, I suppose these aren't consistent ways of bringing in money, and it's hard to allocate these you know, operating profits on day-to-day you know, costs like pensions. Like, I mean, the OECD, like, this was only a few months ago, they warned that, like, by 2050 we could have an extra operating cost of 13 billion just on, you know, pension services alone.
Yeah, and of course the HSE saying, oh, we won't be able to build anything because the Children's Hospital is going to cost even more than they thought yesterday. So 0896 111 111, what you make of what's going on with the census, if you think the pension age should be increased, or indeed PRSI. And
I think they should be putting that money into getting the country ready for whenever the population just doubles.
Well, speaking of nursing homes, the nursing home sector is falling over, says the Irish Examiner today.
Yeah, I mean, us just talking about an ageing population, and then, you know, look here, 31 private and voluntary nursing homes closed in the last 3 years, 915 beds. I mean, it's so odd that we've just been talking about an ageing population, and now the facilities are falling apart at the seams to actually accommodate these people.
Well, we're still seeing that there still is the ageing population, but unfortunately the facilities for them, it's just too expensive. Development costs of a bed have surged 47% since 2017.
47%, you know, that's, you know, predictions from the Nursing Homes Ireland, and they say that the problem's only going to get worse. Like, I mean, like a 36% increase in operating costs. Like, some really kind of starting figures there. And even when you think about the pressure that these guys have been under since COVID, like, I think, was it 2/3 of all COVID deaths were in nursing homes? I mean, they've had a really, really tough time in there.
I was listening to someone on Clare Byrne last week who's having to close down, and they've operated this nursing home in the west of Ireland for years, and they were just calling, listen, they're giving this much to public nursing homes. If they could just give private a little bit more so that we can keep on going, that this would really help us, because the fact is that the operating cost not only has gone up, but they do want just more funding from the National Treatment Purchase Fund, because there's a situation where even people who are working within the nursing home sector can't afford to work within it anymore without having a second job because of inflation in the country. So it's all collapsing in on itself.
And that's even despite the fact that, like there's more carers, in recent years, like more complex care that's needed in nursing homes, especially with more, with more at-home care.
Yeah.
Like there's so much pressure being put on care, whether it be at home or in care homes like this.
I mean, if we didn't think things could get any worse.
No, our older
99s.
If you're 99 years old and you want a 99, my God, it's not
The
a good
flaky bit of the chocolate's not... It's too flaky, I gather. Cadbury's have apologised that they've moved the production to Egypt. Is that right?
Yeah, moved it to Cairo, if I'm not mistaken, and apparently quality has shot way down. I know it's called a flake, but I mean, come on, folks, where are we at here? But
I'd like to apologise.
It should be a crumble.
Yeah, patent that too.
The people of Cairo today going, hold on a second now, lads, this has got nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
So they've gotten too flaky. People are distraught on the beaches because their flakes are crumbling too much. Meanwhile, big news in County Donegal.
Yeah, up in my ends, there's been a...
Was it you?
A cone came at me. No comment on that one. I need to get my legal team in before. A shop in Glencar in my local Letterkenny. Their cone, their giant cone, a staple. You'll see them all over the country these days with 25-degree heat, has been stolen.
Stolen.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't believe you.
Yeah, it is. It is
so,
out of here.
Cops in Letterkenny have scanned hundreds of CCTV images.
Someone has that in their front room.
It just reminds me of back whenever you're in college. And you're heading home from a good night out and jumping into people's gardens and making plant pots or gnomes or...
I don't know why you get so... you get those kind of light fingers on the way home from the night out. You just get a wee bit cocky.
You just gotta go. Do you ever try to take a sign from, men at work, sort of a sign? People love those. Oh, Alan's nabbing over there. Men at work signs all over the house.
Yeah, there's...
096 111 111. You shouldn't do it, obviously. But when you were in your youth, what are those things that you took that you shouldn't have? You brought back the next day, obviously. We'd love to hear from you.
Barry Gallagher, get on to your mates up in Letterkenny there and find out who stole the code.
It's Glencar, is it?
Glencar.
Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick.
It's prank gone wrong, like when you do that and it's front page of the papers.
Yes, it is.
Barry Gallagher from The Sun, great to have you with us.
Thanks a million, guys.
So much still to come. We're catching up with broadcaster Derek Mooney, and we're also going to be dining al fresco in the sun with Edward Hayden, who's making us lunch and a delicious dessert. Is there a flake in it? Oh, Lord.
I hope so. Derek's going to try Yin Yoga at the beach and lots more. We'll see you after the break.
Welcome back to your midweek show, the last day in May. Still to come, we're talking biodiversity, books and brain food.
Coming up very shortly, TV and radio presenter Derek Mooney is stopping by for a chat about birds, broadcasting and everything in between.
Absolutely, with 1 week until the junior and leaving cert. Kicking off on the 7th, my God. We're going to find out the best food to fuel your brain for exams. When I was reading this yesterday, I was actually fascinated. There's so much information that I was like, my brain is a lost cause.
I just spent most of my time studying in the fridge. Wasn't good. Just something to distract me away from it. But we're going to find good brain food, which is all that you need. Plus, Dublin writer Gill Perdue is going to talk about switching from children's books to crime fiction.
I just have an image of you there, just having a great old time.
Any distraction.
Fantastic.
Alan
is, we think he's in, are you in the sun, Alan, with Edward?
We are in the sun. Well, we're being dappled by the tree here, but we are in the sun. It's a beautiful morning outside here. And Edward Hayden is dressed up accordingly. Look at him. It's his al fresco look. What are you making for us?
Well, we have an outfit for all occasions.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I'm making a gorgeous al fresco option, sticking with the wardrobe. We're going to do the same with the food. So I'm going to make some lovely coronation chicken wraps for you. So again, this time of the year, people maybe are jumping into the car, heading on a picnic or heading to the beach. So this is like your posh sandwich option.
And then you're going to stay around because you're making dessert as well?
I'm giving you dessert as well. You get a double dose of Edward this morning. What could be better or worse, depending on where you're fixed?
No, we love a double dose of Edward. And we'll be getting Derek, lots of doses of Deric throughout the morning. He's in North County Dublin for a spot of yoga. How are you getting on, Deric?
Yes, Al, we couldn't have picked a better morning down here at Donabate Beach. We're doing a lovely yoga class, lovely flow session coming your way at 8:45. Tapping though, Jen, what is it?
So tapping is an emotional release technique, and it's a beautiful grounding practice, just helping with anxiety, any kind of overwhelming sensations.
So what do we do?
So it's really simple. So just tapping onto the karate point, tapping onto the eyebrows, tapping onto the side of the eye,
Release
breathing nice and easy.
Yeah.
Tapping under the chin, and then as you tap on the collarbone, just take a nice big deep breath in.
We're feeling good. We're not
Just
tapped,
letting
we're
it go.
tapping. I hope you're tapping too, guys, back in studio. We'll catch you later on. Tap away there,
Tap
Jen.
away.
Quite nice, actually.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
No, that's patting. That's not tapping.
tapping.
Tap, tap, tap.
Okay, sorry. What's the difference between patting and
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you, Ger. We're live here at Donabate Beach in North County, Dublin this morning. We have got a beautiful yoga flow session coming your way at 8:45. So grab your gear, grab your mats and be ready with us in the next half hour or so. Anyway, we'll take a quick look at whether we're slipping past 8 o'clock here this morning, and it is the most gorgeous start out there. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine if you're waking up with us now this Wednesday morning. Again, temperatures warming up pretty nicely as well in those light to locally moderate northerly breezes. Now, right across the day, in fact, we had 25 degrees down in County Clare yesterday in Ina. It looks like we're going to get very hot once again out there today. We're talking valleys onto the eastern half of the country, about 17 to 23. The further west we go, through parts of the Midlands, we're up to about 22. 24, even 25 to 26 degrees expected through parts of the Midwest and into Connacht. So do stay safe underneath that sun, because there's a high risk once again of sunburn out there today, so get the sunscreen on. Now right across into tonight, very similar to what we've seen really over the last couple of nights, mainly dry and settled, patchy mist and fog take us through into your Thursday morning with values back to around 8 to 14 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up as the sun comes down here in Donabate, North County. We'll be back again live at 8:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Good luck with that one. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start first with the Irish Times. Its headline: number of Catholics in state falls as overall population ages. According to the census, the number of people who call themselves Catholic has fallen from 79% to 69%, whilst the population grew to over 5 million.
16,000 Irish victims of global scam lose €40 million. A Garda investigation has identified 300 suspects from an organised fraud gang who use a specialist website to commit global scams worth over €115 million. That is the front page on the Irish Independent.
The Herald also goes with that story. Scam gang hit 16,000 for 40 million. Criminals using the specialised website were offered tools to disguise phone calls so they appeared to be from a trusted organisation like a bank.
The Sun leads with, I'll be back. No. Artificial intelligence could wipe us out and must be treated like a nuclear threat, experts insist. A letter signed by renowned AI professors and CEOs said humanity is at risk because of Terminator-style death bots.
I genuinely thought it was just that I was spending too much time on Instagram. That is worrying, lads. We'll talk more about that surely someday. The Examiner leads with the nursing home sector falling over. More nursing home closures are inevitable unless a funding crisis in the sector is tackled urgently by the government. This stark prediction follows a new Nursing Home Ireland report detailing the challenges that are faced by the sector.
The Irish Daily Mail goes with raised taxes or increased pension age. New figures from the 2022 census show that in just 6 years, the number of people aged over 65 rose by 140,000 as the government faces a stark choice to either raise taxes or increase the pension age.
The Mirror's front page this morning. flaking hell. Ice cream lovers went into meltdown yesterday as crumbling flakes ruined their 99s. Meanwhile, Gardaí are hunting thieves who stole a giant ice cream cone from a shop in Letterkenny, County Donegal. I feel like I'm in Dunbelievables and it's the two guards reading out the local news there.
And the Star also leads with call 999. Cone sellers panic as Egyptian's chocolate falling apart leaves fears for the tasty treat as we hit the beach.
Myrn, I loved your accent there.
Yeah, very good,
It was
Myrn, yeah.
like you were reading something on a novel or something.
I went straight in there.
And there's
Straight
also
into the fancy voice.
the large ice cream cones gone missing up in Letterkenny at the minute. Front
Yes.
page news, a bit of a prank gone wrong on that one. So we asked people what they might have stolen for a bit of a prank on the way home. Just messing.
Yeah.
And Tanya said, I robbed a life-size cutout of Keith Wood from a pub and continued on into Legs in Leeson Street where we danced the night away.
With Keith Wood, a giant size. Could you imagine if it was a hen party or something like that, the cutout of all night?
I've seen a Paul O'Connell on a hen party.
Oh, really?
All dressed up and everything. So if you have more of those for us, we would love to hear from you. 0896 111 111. We were also talking about petrol.
Petrol. Oh, we go to petrol because you've been getting in touch. You know that petrol and diesel prices are going up from midnight tonight, and we asked where's the cheapest. Kathy says diesel 139 in Ballymun, Wexford. Ballymurn in Wexford. And James said in Kilchimock 145 for petrol and 146 for diesel.
And Alan has said
146.
the government have forgotten people.
10 cent higher.
The government have forgotten people living in rural Ireland who don't have public transport. Our cars are only transport. As an old age pensioner, I have free travel for the last 4 years, but I've never been able to use it as there is no public transport to use it on.
Yeah.
Public transport is fine in Dublin, but not in Clare, where we absolutely do not have the option. Thank you so much for that message today.
Huge amount of messages coming in about the voluntary contribution in schools as well. We'll hopefully get through that maybe later on in the show.
Yeah, so many coming in on that, so we'll do that in just a little while. But on the way, we're going to be speaking to the wonderful Derek Mooney.
Looking forward to that.
See you shortly on Ireland Day.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, our next guest has been a pillar of Irish broadcasting for over 30 years.
When I read that, I was like, what's he going to... Hello, Pillar, how are you? Good morning. Do you know what? We're getting a bit of construction work done. Derek Mooney.
I'm getting a bit of construction work done. Would you believe it's more than 30 years? I've worked at RT since I was 15. And I'm 56.
Are you going to go back and give out to them about the labour laws now? Going, you shouldn't have employed
Well,
people
bizarrely, you probably couldn't employ somebody now at the age of 15.
No.
I mean, I wasn't there full time, but you probably couldn't.
And how did it start then?
What?
Your career, when you were saying at 15, what were you doing at 15 in RTE?
Well, I lived in Donnybrook and I went to school at the back gate, literally, of RTE. And the odd time we'd see Kay Byrne going by the school when we were out in the schoolyard. And I wanted nothing more than to work in RTE, so I used to just drive them mad. And I used to watch, like everybody when we were kids, you watch Bosco and all the children's programmes. And I found out who produced Bosco, and I phoned and got through to him the day where you actually would pick up a phone and get through to somebody.
Wow.
His name was Joe O'Donnell. And then he went on to other things, and eventually I annoyed the man so much, he said to me, OK, I've got a programme called Talk About, which is kind of a panel show for school teams where they would debate a topic. Yeah. And they needed a young presenter to kind of front it. And he said, it's only 6 weeks, you can do it. And it was a programme called Talk About, and I did that, and that's where it all started. But I was a runner for years, like the guys that are running here today, and then I went on to be an autocue operator and everything else. I did every job you could possibly imagine.
Which is always a nice grounding, though, isn't it?
Well, you learn everything. You learn on the go. You know, you're not learning it formally in university or something like that, but you're learning on the job. And I literally worked in every area. I worked in sports, but I was heavily into sports at the time. I was doing athletics, worked in the sports department as a runner. Then I worked in religious programmes, current affairs programmes, you name it. There isn't a single area I haven't worked in.
As you say,
and I made a lot of tea for people, and I brought a lot of dinners to people.
But it's a lot. It's
everything.
A big ground.
Try making tea for this fellow. Oh, Derek, you would have laughed.
The milky tea. Yeah, nobody can get it right. But tell me then, where did the love of nature begin then? Was it always at that age as well?
Born out of necessity. You know, the mother being the invention. What's that?
Yeah, mother being the invention of...
that kind of thing. Anyway, so when I was talking, this man, Joe O'Donnell, gave me the best piece of advice I ever got from anybody. He said, it doesn't matter what you do, so long as you do it and you do it as yourself. Be the same on as you are off. And he said, it doesn't matter if it's jumping through fiery hoops or whatever. He said, find something you're interested in and go with that. And I was interested in nature. And I happened to be born a few doors from Don Conroy. Everybody knows Don on the Den. All those years ago, generations of people grew up with him. And Don used to do his sketches and all this kind of stuff when we were kids. And then he was on the Den, and I used to contact Don and say, can I help out? And he said, yeah, I can have a look at, answer some of the letters, whatever the case may be. And the advice I got from Joe was, do something you like. So I put together a proposal for a nature series with Don Conroy, which we put to Radio 1, a 15-minute walk and ramble through the countryside with an expert, me being the dummy and they being the expert. And it got accepted for 6 weeks. And 33 years later, I'm still making nature programs.
That's incredible.
Like it's
simple as that.
It's necessity is the mother of all inventions.
Necessity is the mother of all inventions. Wouldn't come to me. It says blank on your screen there, and that's what I had.
But can I ask you then, because you have been involved in it for a very long time, which means that you're continually learning. You're seeing how it changes. And there has been a very different change in our nature programs, in our news. Like it is all a part of our news now. Do you feel hopeful about the future of this planet?
Yeah, but I mean, if you watch the news all the time and listen to radio and watch documentaries, it's quite catastrophic.
Yeah.
And it is something to worry about. Climate change is real. Global warming is real. There is a biodiversity crisis. However, on the programme that I've been making for the last 28 years on Radio 1, Mooney Goes Wild, and for the TV programmes I'm making now, it's all about a message of what can be done. Because my approach to conservation and natural history is that, well, no one is going to appreciate something unless they know about it. And it's fine to bash people across the head with facts and figures and drama and catastrophic events that are likely to happen and that are happening in parts of the world, indeed, including Ireland, with flooding and warmer temperatures and everything else like that. But really, if you don't explain the basics to people, they won't be able to fully understand what's going on. So we approach it in an entertainment, an informative and an educational way. And the facts and figures really are not, I'm not going to say they're not for us, but they're for other programmes, if you know what I mean. I try to encourage people to appreciate the natural world.
Yeah, because it is good, isn't it, that you are doing it for, like you're saying, for the dummy.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it for myself. And I reckon, and my role has always been a kind of a driver on a programme with experts. So any programme I make in terms of natural history, I'm not Colin Stafford Johnson, who makes these wonderful programmes. Colin is an expert in his own right. You know, I happen to be a guy who loves making nature programmes, who has a real appreciation for the natural world, and who is a radio and TV producer. That's what I am. And I make those programmes, but I'm only the kind of vehicle to put the message out, but we use experts, whereas these other guys are experts.
But does it feel sometimes like, does it feel a bit like us versus them? You know, you're sitting in a rural setting in Dublin or in Limerick or in Galway, and you know, you've grown your little box and you've had 2 bees visit and you're like, am I great? I'm doing so much for the natural world.
Well, you are great because you have done something.
You have, but then it's kind of like we're sitting there looking at rural Ireland being like, all of a sudden, we've got to cull the national herd.
Yeah, that's the big story this week. Yeah, and I don't know what that's like for a farmer.
Exactly.
You know, I can't live in their shoes and walk in their shoes because I don't know what it's like.
It's like urbanites who are doing so much pollution are blaming people in rural
Well, I don't think we should blame each other.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, the message is to kind of come together and appreciate what we have, because for sure, you only miss something when you don't have it. I mean, think of something that any of you here have had in the past and is now gone. And you think, oh, well, I should have paid more attention to that, or I should have appreciated that a little bit more.
And is some of this is in your new show, Back from the Brink? And you were just saying to me outside there that it's like the Eurovision of nature because you're taking in, like, it's going to... No, but seriously, this is what he was saying. How many countries will this be seen in?
Potentially in 52 countries.
Wow.
So this is a 2-part programme which starts on RT1 at 6:30 this Sunday, and the second one is on the following Sunday. And we look at different conservation stories right across Europe. The one you're looking at on the screen there is about barn owls here in Ireland. They suffered a massive decline in the last 3 decades, but there's hope because their numbers are starting to increase again. And that's because farmers, to give them credit, a lot of them now have stopped using rodenticides. The owls have come back onto the land and they're taking the rodents instead. This bird here, it's an ugly looking, looks a bit like Dustin. It's called a northern bald ibis.
My God.
And this is in a place called Berghausen in Germany on the border with Austria, not too far from Salzburg where they set the sound of music. And these birds were extinct from that area for over 400 years. And this lady here, Corinna Esterer, and her friends got some eggs from hatcheries, incubated them, raised them, and became their moms, because birds will imprint on you the minute they come out of the egg. And then what they decided to do was get a microlight plane, and when they were big enough and old enough, taught them the migratory route across the Alps, which they had forgotten.
They followed the plane.
They followed the plane, leave them there, and then go back and hope they'll come back when the weather is better. And so far now it's working, they're coming back.
They're coming back.
Not all of them make it, but enough of them. So they've got to reach a critical mass of numbers, something like 200
because
individuals.
they'll get more and more wild, the more babies, the more generations
well,
that
now
there
that's
are.
the thing. So they're at that generation now.
Yes.
So last year they had the first generation that were truly wild again, because if you think they take the eggs, and then they raise those adults, and then they have to pair and they learn the migratory route. And they've now had offspring that are making that migration route on their own and coming back. And so that's a success. So we go from the simple stories to the... It is amazing. It is, yeah.
Before we let you go, you...
Where am I going?
I'm
joking.
You wanted the... Did you want the Late Late Show? Did I read that?
Oh, I threw my hat in the ring and they kept throwing it back out. You know, I was watching all these people saying that they were ruling themselves out. I was ruling myself in. It was management who ruled me out. Who wouldn't want the Late Late Show?
I think you'd
But lots of people wouldn't, Derek, because I saw it as a poison chalice at the
I would have
moment,
loved it, because it was something when I was a kid. I mean, my dream was to work in RTE, and the big show was the Late Late Show.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed. It's still the big show. And I have to say, I don't know Patrick Keelty. I know you guys know him. I met him once or twice, and I have to say he was an absolute gentleman every time I met him.
Lovely.
And I think he will be fantastic. And I think he'll bring something new and dynamic. When Ryan did it, it was his time. When Pat did it, it was his time. When Gay Byrne did it, it was his time. And now it's Patrick Keelty's time.
Do you think they will have to change the format or
Well,
something?
of course, they'll have to change. It's like this couch here. You have a set format, but each person brings a unique thing to it. And if good producers will find what that person is best at and make it work. And I think he'll be good. I really
Corridors
do
in the
think he'll be
canteen, Patrick. Get ready. Derek Mooney is ready for you. He wanted it. It has been a pleasure talking
Thanks very much
to you.
indeed. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Marin.
The Eurovision of nature. I love how you put
That's
that.
what it is. That's what it is. There we go. All over Europe, Derek Mooney.
All over
Now,
Europe.
still to come this hour, we're checking in with another Derek for a yoga class on the beach.
And Edward Hayden will be serving up the perfect coronation wrapped chickens for your picnic. Yeah?
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's something to do with chicken, okay?
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, sure. We're live here in Donabate Beach in North County Dublin. We have got the most beautiful yoga flow session coming your way at 8:45. Grab your mat, grab your gear. It's all happening in the next 10 minutes. Now, quick look at weather. We're slipping past 8:30 here this morning, and it is a dry and settled start out there at the moment. Some gorgeous, gorgeous sunshine to kick-start your Wednesday morning now in those light to moderate northerly breezes. Now, right across today, that high pressure, it is not budging anywhere. We had 25 degrees down in County Clare yesterday, and now we could get, in fact, surpass it out there today. 25, 26 degrees expected through parts of the west and in across the midwest. And then tonight it looks like once again dry and settles in patchy mist and fog, feeding its way into your Thursday morning with values back to around 7 to 14 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up for now. Grab your gear and we'll catch you live at 8:45.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Now, the sunshine's set to stick around for the bank holiday weekend. It's all about alfresco dining.
It sure is, and we've got the right man for it. Edward Hayden is here with the perfect picnic wrap.
Yeah,
is that right?
Absolutely. So this is kind of like a really good option to have if you're going for a picnic. And I think, you know, a lot of people, once the sun shines, certainly in my world anyway, once the sun shines, I embrace it and run with it. So I love it. Absolutely love the sun. So people are kind of maybe hitting to the beach or hitting to the parks or whatever.
Right tan, don't you?
A right tan, absolutely.
You were out all day yesterday.
I'm like every bit of me. Got to be on the telly. Well, it's only on one side. That's the only thing. It's only on one side.
Okay, so you got a chicken last night. You roasted it.
I roasted a chicken chicken last night, so I've got some shredded chicken here. So I roasted that, and then I took the skin off of it, and I just popped on my gloves and pulled all of the meat off the breast, the legs, the thighs, the wings, the works.
And Edward, it's probably better value doing that because, well, you get a nice chicken, big chicken, $4.99 or something like that, and look at the amount of chicken you have there.
Yeah, I suppose get a really good quality chicken, of course, would be my message. So pay that little bit extra for your chicken, and it will be worthwhile.
$4.99, not good enough.
Yeah, well, you'd have to go up a little bit. Yes.
I mean, would we get most chicken off that?
No chicken involved. Now, but
how much then?
Well, listen, you'd want to be talking like about €8, €8 or €9 for a really nice, good chicken, and then it just like
you get more into your body, like it's worth it.
We have to be mindful of all that.
But if you're just making sandwiches,
I know,
they're still going in your body.
Think about the poor chickens, Al. You want a good free-range one who's had a nice life.
And think about the producers. Yeah. Anyway, that's the moral message. So I've just shredded all of the chicken off of that. I left it kind of quite chunky because I want this to be quite chunky. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm going to make a lovely dressing. So here I've got some mayonnaise. So I'm just going to pop in some mayonnaise there into my bowl. To that, I'm going to add in some mango chutney. So I'm just going to put in some really nice mango chutney. And again, of course...
What is this sauce you're making? Sorry.
It's the coronation chicken sauce. So again, of course, on route since the first coronation. OK, we got a quiche this time, but we got the chicken the first time. Okay. So I think we did better the first time. So a little bit of curry powder.
That makes the coronation
curry
chicken,
powder, of course. It really is. I'm going to put a bit of cumin in there as well, which is really nice. And then I'm also going to put in a little bit of lemon or lime juice in there as well. So give that a nice little mix around.
The coronation, I love
that's your gorgeous dressing. Sauce. Okay, so again, Tommy, think about doing this as a lovely salad. Think about doing it as a wrap, Alan. So do whatever you like with it, but that's gorgeous. I mean, it's really just lovely. Think of that now, even if you're having friends over with your crudités, it would be just lovely as well.
Crudité.
Your raw vegetables.
All right.
Now,
okay.
Now, meanwhile, that's our sauce. We're going to come back to that in just a second. Then what I've got, just got a glove on here. I've got some grated carrot here and some sultanas. So this is for my filling. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of rapeseed oil on with that as well. And I'm just going to give that a nice little mix around there, just like so.
Now, would you use the gloves when you're at home?
I do really.
Yeah.
I do use them a lot. I do use them a lot for the single use things, just for handiness. But all depends.
Handy. Yeah.
Now, give that a nice little mix around. So that's our chicken gone in there. Think of just getting a glass. Now, I love doing this like almost like a prawn cocktail. You know the way you put the glass of the lettuce and all of that in there. So that's really beautiful, okay? Again, really, really beautiful. If you had the time, you could leave that to have marinated for a little while.
Now, if you had the time, do you think it's better to marinate it?
Listen, the flavours are really nice in there.
How long?
Just give
how long?
You won't need to leave it for too long. You're talking maybe like half an hour would be sufficient because the curry powder is a good robust flavour. Now, meanwhile then, back at the ranch, what I've got here is I've got my wrap. If I wanted, I could take another small little bit of the mayonnaise and mango, okay, just to make a tiny little relish for the top of the wrap, just like that. So I'm using just the plain wraps. You can use the whole meal if you so desire and give those a nice little rub around, just like so.
And you could use this for the wrap or sandwiches, whatever else, but you could use it on salad.
On a salad. So just get a lovely platter. Lovely. Just get a lovely platter and put some of your lettuce leaves on that.
Nice,
and it's really just gorgeous. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that lovely chicken.
Grand big
size wraps.
That's what we like to see.
That's a grand big portion for Tommy there.
Isn't he a growing chap?
Don't be moaning. That's what we want.
Isn't he a growing chap? Now, so put in some of that chicken, and then what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to press that down, okay? So I'm going to spread that all around just like so. Okay, so spread it all the way around. Then I just...
Isn't it funny? I would have just left it on in the middle.
No, spread it all the way around. That's what's really good. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Now, then I've got some of my lovely lettuce leaves, just like so, and I'm going to pop those on the top. So really nice crisp lettuce. And then we've got some of our lovely carrot and sultana. So again, do you know what's lovely in here as well is a bit of shredded beetroot. If you have a little bit of grated beetroot or a little bit of red onion.
Again, the carrot. Tonight, Edward, I reckon.
Well, there you have it.
More of these.
There you have it. Inspired by Edward.
Is that scallion?
that's a little bit of scallion there as well, and I've just got a little bit of cherry tomato for colour. Now, so if I can just show you, we're going to wrap that up, and I've got my lovely platter here, and I'm going to pop that on. So again, I'll just...
So more gloves are going on. The amount of gloves being used.
Really tight,
you're doing well looking after the chickens. They're not doing well.
Yeah. Well, listen, we have to bite the elephant one bite at a time.
You don't do it like this.
There you have it. There you have it. They'll be all given out about me.
So look,
now, there we have
this
it.
then.
Now, what I'm going to do is just look, going to tuck it in at one side, tuck it in at the other.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Press it in just like that, and then fold it over once. Okay, and you're just making like a really nice envelope, and you can see I've just left it a bit shy of the edge. Okay, but every time you roll it, just see what I'm doing?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
tucking in the
packing it
filling.
in.
Okay, because I want to tuck that in.
That's a man who's worked at the deli counter in years gone by. Yeah, that's well done, Edward.
Now, and you've got it just like so, and you can see that we've got our lovely wrap just like so. And I'll just do another one here for you as well, just so you see it.
Because Tommy's dying to tuck it. Look,
time to tuck it. Tommy is going to finish it off there.
Well. Look at that.
Now, and you see I've just got the few crisps there as well.
Tommy,
there we have it.
Get
just
it at
like
a petrol station nationwide.
Go.
Excuse me, what are you talking about? I'm after coming up 2 hours up the country to give you this. Now, there you have it, just like so. And there's our gorgeous wraps. But really, really nice. They're just really fabulous. Get in that. Alan, of course, brought 1 cup of tea, I see.
That coronation is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. Keep your wraps, of course, well covered down as well. But it is just a really nice option. And
oh my God, that's delicious.
It's so good, yeah.
The filling is lovely. So think about that going to your beachside picnic.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're staying with us?
I'll be Arasharish doing a lovely
Eton Mess.
Eton Mess, thank you. I was trying to think, what am I doing a lovely version of?
So much. Now, time for a break now. After we're going to cross live to Deric, who's doing a masterclass in yoga. See you in a few minutes.
Oh, really
this is delicious.
Now Derek has stocked up on the sun cream and taken himself to the beach on what we are sure is going to be a scorcher of a day even. Good morning, Derek.
Yes, good morning. Word a scorch of a day is right, and we're all about finding our flow here this morning up in Donabate in North County Dublin. Our amazing yoga instructor, Jen Healy, is with us. Jen, can I just open up by saying what a gorgeous location here in North County Dublin?
We really are blessed. It's a beautiful spot, and we're so lucky to have it. So huge thank you to the Shoreline Hotel as well for taking good care of us every week. For
looking after you. Now, let's talk about meditation. Or in fact, yoga first. When did you start?
I started practicing yoga about 5 years ago. I actually went to a yoga teacher training and I'd never taken a yoga class. So if I was going to do it, I was going to go all in. And it's been an incredible journey so far.
You're at it about 5 years, but you said you started because you had, in fact, scoliosis.
Yeah, I had suffered with chronic pain since I was a teenager, and I'd been on a lot of different kind of pain medication, and I just wanted to look for alternative therapies that I could use. And I couldn't believe that within 6 months of practicing yoga, I was completely pain-free, and I haven't had to take pain medication since.
And so much so you've got your daughter involved now as well.
Yeah, my daughter, she plays Ga, and she also has mild scoliosis, so she's now doing her stretches, and she's really enjoying the benefits of the yoga practice.
Now, not only are you a yoga instructor, and a great one at that, I've been to some of your classes, you're also big into meditation.
I am, yeah. Well, I actually started meditation first before I ever went near the yoga. When my daughter was born, I got really bad postnatal depression, and they found meditation when she was 1.5 to 2 years old. I didn't know what I was doing at the start. There wasn't really a lot of advocate for kind of yoga, spirituality kind of stuff, so I was really winging it at the start.
And now you're flying it and you're teaching it here as well. I know you're just back from Africa as well. You did a bit of charity work out there.
We went to Africa for 16 days in total in April, and I actually have a couple of the girls from the Action Ireland Trust here with us this morning. It was an incredible opportunity to go. But the one thing that surprised me was nobody had heard of yoga or meditation when I got there. I got to do a lot of work with the teachers from 5 different schools. So to bring such an amazing benefit and practice to another country. Like the reception to it was incredible.
Which is incredible. Chris is leading the class here. Good morning to you, Chris, by the way.
Chris is doing an amazing
before we
job.
let you go, and I know you're going to take us through a class in a few moments' time. Full moon, you're big into it.
Yeah, we're kind of famous for Yoga Jen's full moon experience. We're going to be down here on Donabate Beach on Friday night. Yeah. So it's really inclusive. It's open to all. We've the grandmothers, the grandchildren, and the one thing that I'm really happy about is we're getting a lot of lads coming to the class now. You can see we've got a lot of lads here this morning, so it really is open to everybody now.
Which is absolutely incredible. Before you take the class, where can we find you online, Jen?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is Yin Yoga Jen, and I'm Jen Healy on Facebook.
All right, sounds absolutely fantastic. Okay, so you want to take the viewers at home through a couple of minutes of yoga. So you take over the class.
Yeah, so if you're at home, I hope you've been taking part all morning, and we're just going to go through a nice little vinyasa flow. So when you're ready, just come into the top of your mat, taking a nice big inhale, reaching up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up, and let's go. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to heart. Exhale, hands to the floor. Stepping back with the right, stepping back with your left. Coming into that nice, strong plank. Squeeze the tummy, Derek, hips down. Coming down onto your knees. Take a nice exhale, coming down into that nice cobra. Lovely, well done. So inhale, curl the toes. Let's go up into our first down dog. Really feel into that, hips to the sky. Plant the left foot, lift the right leg nice and high. Exhale, take the right heel to the right hip. Open out that hip. Slow it down. Inhale, nice and easy. Take the right foot to the top of your mat. Step forward with the left. Exhale, reach up. Inhale, hands to heart. Let's go. One more time on the opposite side. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the floor. Stepping back with the left this time. Stepping back in the right. Coming into that nice plank. Squeeze the tummy, squeeze the glutes. Drop your knees down to the mat. Exhale, coming down into that lovely cobra. Nice, really well done. Inhale, curl the toes. Exhale, send the hips up into your downward dog. Planting that right foot down nice and strong. Inhale, lift that left leg. Exhale, left heel to the left hip. Open out that left hip. Well done, well done. Now inhale, slow it down, nice and slow, nice and slow. Step forward with the left, step forward with the right. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Namaste.
Oh, we hope you enjoyed that back at base, guys. That was absolutely incredible.
Well
and he
done,
said that full moon meditation session, that
Friday
yoga session.
night, 9 p.m. down on the beach.
All right, you won't want to miss it. I'll see you there. Thanks to
Thank
Chris
you.
as well for leading the class earlier on. A big shout out from all the guys.
Yeah,
well done.
well done.
I hope you're involved as well at home, back at base, back to studio. Thank you, Jen. Oh, that was beautiful.
Derek. Look how gorgeous that is.
It looks amazing. We all want to be there. Tommy was down on the floor doing it the whole thing.
Well, no, but I tried to do it.
Tried to do it.
Well, he was eating a sandwich at the same time. Nom, 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 nom. Done a bit of yoga.
Alan could do with have gotten down, tried it after your balance problems yesterday.
I know, I have a balance problem.
We'll sort it out. We'll sort it out now.
As well as all my other problems.
Coming up after 9, our resident nutritionist, this could help, reveals the best brain-boosting food to get students through exam season.
I need that. Crime author Gill Perdue tells us about her new high-octane thriller.
Plus, Edward is back with us, and it's a fail-safe summer dessert. What is it?
Eton Mess.
Eton Mess.
Oh, delicious.
We'll see you after
And a
these.
Prosecco. There you go.
Is it? Hello, welcome back to Ireland AM. On the way, we're talking crime thrillers with top Irish author Gill Perdue. And Tommy is, well, he's just had a massive sandwich, but are you just going to gobble all this up as well? Is that the plan?
A massive sandwich and some crisps, but keep that quiet. Nutritionist Sinead Bradbury is here. And with the exam starting next week, Sinead's going to be telling us what people should be getting into their systems to keep them at their best going into the exam season.
Yeah, this is a performance, Tommy, and these foods optimise performance. So we'll be sharing a little bit why behind these foods.
There's a lot of stress, you can imagine, from people going into exams, and kind of eating might be put to the back of their minds.
And your digestion shuts down when you're under stress too. So this is about choosing foods that are easy on the digestion but added benefits and nutrients to support cognitive function, memory recall, focus and concentration. All helps.
Brain foods. This
Brain
is what
foods, yeah.
exams I could do with that on this show. Okay, we're going to get an update on that. That's sort of 9:20. Now, Alan, from Brain Food to something a little bit more indulgent. What's happening outside?
Yes, exactly, Tommy. It's all about the balance. And Edward is making a classic dessert perfect for the summer. And Edward, I always think, like, you made the beautiful wraps earlier on. I never think of making a dessert, but an Eton Mess is quite simple, isn't it?
Listen, it's so simple, Alan, and it's what I'm calling the get out of jail free dessert. So if you get very short notice that somebody is coming, this is a fabulous dessert. It's a real summertime dessert. It's really good for this time of the year. If I'm not 100% mistaken, I think it's actually a typical June dessert, because it was a dessert kind of made to commemorate some celebrations in Eton College for like their annual sports day or something. Yeah.
Okay.
So if that comes up on a table quiz, you heard it here first.
That's what we're doing. Now,
so I've got lovely fruits, lovely meringue, lovely whipped cream, and I'm going to mash them all together, and that's going to be your second course.
What can go wrong?
Nothing.
What can go wrong? Now, Deric is doing he was doing the downward dog in Donabate this morning. Is the weather looking beautiful for the rest of the day and the rest of the week, Deric?
Al, absolutely. I know Tommy was talking about exams there coming up, and it really is that time of year, exam weather out there at the moment. Now, we had 25 degrees to parts of the west yesterday. In fact, the two top temps there were Ina and Clare 25 and Shannon Airport at 24.7. It looks like we could surpass that out there today. We're talking 25, even 26 degrees. That high pressure isn't budging an inch. It's with us right across the week and into the weekend. So good news all round.
We really did, Derek. Thank you so much for that. We'll see you.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you very much. Sure, we're live here at Donabate Beach, North County Dublin, right across the morning. We're getting past 9 o'clock here now at the moment. Let's take a look at how it's shaping up. And a glorious sunrise earlier on here onto the East Coast, and plenty of bright spells, plenty of sunshine now as we work our way through your breakfast time. Not a drop of rain on the island, you'll be glad to hear. It's very rare we say that. Those light to locally moderate east to northeasterly breezes. Now, right across the day, that ridge of high pressure is keeping conditions settled and sunny. Now, could cloud up ever so slightly through northern and eastern parts, but elsewhere it is all eyes on those temps. We were up to 25 degrees yesterday through parts of Clare. Today we could potentially exceed it. We're talking values there of around 18 to 24, 25, a potential to hit 26 degrees through parts of the west midwest. Right across then into tonight, mainly dry, calm and settled. We will see patchy mist, some shallow fog as well, working its way into your Thursday morning with overnight lows back to 9 to 14 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up for now. We'll be back again live at 9:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Oh, so many texts coming in because earlier on we were talking about an ice cream, a massive ice cream statue was stolen in Donegal.
It's the ice creams you see outside all the stores.
Yeah,
so a couple of lads, or a couple of people nicked it.
Oh, look at you making assumptions.
Could be enjoying themselves, and it's gone wrong, hasn't it? Like
they've made the front page.
Didn't expect to see the front page of the paper.
The country's searching for them now.
So we asked you, have you stolen anything in the past, and has it gone wrong? And
so a lot of them. David said, I once woke up after a night out with a Bertie Ahern election poster at the end of my bed. Mortal.
Bertie, come here till I tell you what's the issue with you now. That was it. Natalie, many years ago, my brother-in-law, he came home with a Persian rug that he found in a skip. My sister got up in the morning. She found it laid out in the sitting room floor. The coffee table was on top of it. The couch was on top. And she went upstairs. She was like, what's going on with this Persian rug? He hadn't a notion what she was talking about. Couldn't remember doing anything.
I love this one. Joe, 40 years ago or so, he says, when we were young fellas, after an all-night party, myself and my friends used to take the for sale signs out of people's gardens, and we'd put them in the neighbours' gardens. The next day, my mother and her friends would say, geez, they kept that quiet. Never told us that they're
Never
moving.
told they were selling their house and moving. Jerry said, I robbed a giant cone and a rubber plant from a local chipper while drunk, but got caught. The woman who caught us is now my wife.
Guys, come on.
Oh, love it.
That's the sort of, we need you on the telly. We need to see about this story. We need to, was the giant rubber plant at the wedding?
That's
like,
it.
how did it all go
Do they
down?
have a giant rubber plant in their house
To
now?
commemorate the beautiful
when
day.
you meet the love of your life. What about this one? This is a bit like the ice cream cone. A few years ago, someone kidnapped the baby Jesus from the crib in the church in Ardee.
The Audi.
Ardee.
No, hold on. And who got onto this?
The Ardee Gardaí got onto it. So they nicked the baby Jesus and left a ransom note for his return. It was a joke that ended up going a bit wrong. Anyway, the baby Jesus was returned unharmed after it made the local news.
The Gardaí and Ardee.
Can we one more?
The Gardaí.
They successfully solved the case.
They sure did.
The Gardaí.
Love it. Very
Anyway.
good. Thank you very much, guys. Right, coming up after the break, we are going to be talking brain boosting ahead of the exams. We all need it, and we're going to be discussing
Really
that.
interesting, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
See you shortly. Hello, you're very welcome back.
What did we do there?
No idea. Now, with a week to go until the state exams start,
Sorry.
Yeah, it's important to give students the best chance at succeeding, and that involves fueling your bodies right.
And just reading about it makes my brain want to explode. Performance nutritionist Sinead Bradbury joined us now with her brain-boosting foods, because it's real. Like, things that can actually help.
It is real,
our brain.
evidence-based, scientifically proven. I work predominantly in performance, generally in sport, and it's the same in like strategies that can be applied to an exam performance. You want to be hydrated, you want to be fueled, you want to be nourished, and you've worked hard, hopefully, to get to this point. So you don't want to kind of fall at the last stage when really boosting your energy could be most helpful to performance.
So obviously there's going to be a lot of stress in the exam weeks, but also in the build-up. Now, we've still a week to go. So it's about getting the right balance and right diet into our systems, so to give ourselves the best opportunity.
Yeah, and this is where, like, older sisters or brothers or parents can be helpful as well. Just helping with a little bit of preparation, with snacks, with smoothies, all again just to make life that bit easier for the student.
Say you're walking on eggshells a little bit as a parent. So is this an easy thing that parents can do, actually, is to have the right snacks and food
well, that's what they're
available?
looking for sometimes, Tommy, is just what can I do to be supportive, to be helpful. So going shopping, having the snacks in, making a smoothie, and then hopefully sharing it with them and them consuming it is all going to be helpful, again, to these challenging times for them.
OK, so we have a selection of foods here, and we've actually got labels to kind of show us which is which. So where do you want to start? Let's start over here on the high water content foods.
Yes, so we know from the science that 2% dehydration has a massive impact on your cognitive function. You don't want to be dehydrated going into exam. So hydration is most important, and I think some students can be very good, but even we know that water is good, but even we know that certain foods have really high water content. Again, the weather is really warm at the moment, you'll be studying, you can get dehydrated overnight. So even snacks like celery, cucumber with hummus, or different types of strawberries that are in season, coming into season now, all really helpful.
There's this
so you can eat your water.
You can eat your water, but there's this amazing stat, because obviously you're going to have people going, sure, I'll just take the Red Bull and I'll study all night. You know, that's not working. There was this amazing stat that you were sending on. And that's that a study of university students found that those who brought drinks, especially water, with them into an exam performed 5% better than those who didn't bring a drink in. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I didn't bring in 25 drinks of water. Like, they perform better having some water beside them.
This is it, Maren. So this is what we're talking about. We're trying to perform, give you extra percentage. You've worked really hard. Don't fall at the last stage and just help yourself, give yourself the best chance, because it's all about memory recall. And do you know what it's also about, I think, is if things don't go your way. You know, like in any game, like in any sport, like in any performance, things don't go your way. How are you going to react? The better fueled, the better nourished, the better hydrated you are, the more you can, like, think on your feet and be able to you know, let's get to the problem.
Absolutely, and have that build up that resilience. Let's move on to, we have some B12, which is good too.
B vitamins are really important for energy. So this is energy. We want energy. Like, it's an endurance race. Like, students can be tired at this stage. And signs and symptoms of vitamin B12 and B vitamin deficiencies can be fatigue, poor concentration, poor memory. So boosting
what's that?
these foods.
Chicken, ham, yogurt?
Yeah, those type of foods. Yeah, so, and even again, teenage girls can be very prone to iron deficiency. So iron-rich foods as well, really important. Yeah, because that's associated with fatigue as well.
For sleep, is this magnesium is good for sleep?
Yeah, your nervous system, but again, MIT, latest research coming out, it is critical for memory recall, memory loss, even cognitive decline as we get older. Magnesium is hugely important, so it's a really important mineral for our brain. So
that's spinach,
bananas, brown rice, you know, lots of vegetables.
And this is the sort of thing that even regardless of what age you are, it is like, I can't sleep properly and everyone just shouts at me, magnesium, magnesium, magnesium. And even for restless legs, does it have anything to do with restless legs?
That's been shown, Miriam, as well. And you see, magnesium is getting depleted in our soil, unfortunately, as well. So it's even with these foods, you need an awful lot of them to get the boost you need. So sometimes supplementation can be helpful, but you know, food first is always a great approach. Yeah.
Okay, so this is good for fatigue and sleep. Okay, great.
Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So, with avocados, omega-3, is it?
Yeah. So the fattiest organ in our bodies is the brain. 60% of it is made up of fat. So good fat's really important for our brain health. So oily fish, nuts and seeds, avocados, eggs.
And what about just even oil tablets, omega-3 tablets, if you don't like, say, fish, for instance?
Yeah, it's a great option, Tommy, if you can. And generally 3 months leading into it. So at this stage, hopefully you'll be supplementing, but even a little bit, a couple of weeks in the run-up will be helpful too. But the foods, again, will be helpful.
And if you are, in relation to all of this, like with everything, if you are vegetarian or vegan, there are always other options for you in order to get what your body needs.
Absolutely, yeah. But just be very vigilant if you are, because the B12 is so important. So that might be one to supplement with.
That's one that you might have to
if you're vegetarian or vegan.
First, get your
might be an option for that?
Yeah, but I think supplementation would be really important as well. Even the beans and the lentils, again, the green leafy vegetables, all supportive, but not as much as concentrated from animal protein.
And the last thing you want to be getting is getting sick going into it as well.
Yeah, your immune system.
So the likes of antioxidants or whatever else give yourself a boost.
Yeah, and they just even boost you visually. They're boosting now this time of year. Just have nice colour on your plate. Eat the rainbow, the antioxidants, really supportive again.
What do antioxidants do?
They mop up free radicals in the body, which damage our cells, Mirren. So they're really supportive to helping our cells heal and replenish, and again for our immune system. So loads of vitamins.
So what would you kind of say for people, say, the morning of an exam, like a breakfast, to kind of have them well set?
Well, performance mode sometimes can be high stress. The digestive system shuts down, so something easy to digest and absorb, and even something small is going to be helpful. So I think a good smoothie would be helpful, and it's something that you can prepare if you're time poor. Again, in between exams, you can prepare it in the morning and have it in between exams. I think, Tommy, with these vital nutrients and that we talked about.
So I have to pick one from each to make the perfect smoothie.
Yes, yeah. And I'll grade you out of 10 in your performance here.
We get to try it.
So I'll throw a few strawberries in. Throw some.
Those ones have things.
I think these ones here with the greens off might be nicer.
Well, sure, the green would be good in it anyway. So high water content, some magnesium, some yogurt.
Yeah. 3 of them, maybe.
Oh, 3 of these, okay, right, okay. Some of these, what's that now? That's omega-3, some chia seeds, is it?
A tablespoon of the milled seeds would be fantastic,
Okay, and then
fats.
Is this protein?
This is cinnamon and this is cacao powder and...
Okay,
have you got any magnesium
was there banana?
there?
Well, I've got the spinach for magnesium.
Yeah.
And you need a banana
too.
You
do need a bit of sweetness.
Is a banana work for antioxidants, or is that antioxidants as well?
You've got the strawberries in there, which is good. So you could double up maybe with some blueberries.
Okay. All right. Do you know what's the powder?
Yeah. Okay. Go with a little bit of the cacao powder for chocolate effect.
Right.
And a little bit of water, maybe.
Perfect. Is that right?
A little bit more. Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be nice.
What have I missed out on?
I'd go maybe a little bit. Yeah, I just think the consistency might be a little bit. Okay, we'll make sure it's well.
Don't worry, Sinead, I've got this.
Sinead,
I was a little bit concerned there.
Can I ask you, you do the Galway team, are they like Tommy? Just gung ho?
Yeah, they're like Tommy. They're very good. Very good.
And here's my taster.
Yeah.
Myrna O'Connell. Off we go. This is all about brain boosting this morning.
Oh, it smells gross.
Excuse me.
Not a good start.
There you go, Sinead.
Thank you. Thank you, Tommy.
Me. What do you reckon?
That's
I think that's lovely.
Absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the exams. Get me off.
A's all the way.
It is though. Can we make that better with more yogurt? Is that what?
I think a little bit more berries, a little bit more banana, and a bit more yogurt for consistency.
But
That's
otherwise,
the beauty of
my
it.
critique.
That's the beauty of it. You can actually mix and match to what you
to your own
like.
taste, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nutrients in there, and it does taste good, like the good fats, really
I can feel it now. We'll be ready. I'll bring all the politicians in. We're ready to go.
And even you can stick oats into that, which is important as well. The likes get some good carbs and fibre into you too as well, and fill you up.
Very versatile.
No, I didn't. Salmon in a smoothie. Sinead Bradbury, as always, thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Sinead. We really
Extra
appreciate it.
5% bottle of water.
Isn't that mad? There's lots more still to come this morning. We're going to be meeting the author Gill Purdue, who'll be telling us about her brand new thriller. We'll see you back here on Ireland AM very soon.
Cheers.
It is nice.
Now, she's a crime author, a dance teacher, and was nominated for an Irish Book Award just last year.
And here to talk to us about her new thriller is Gill Purdue. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
There's a list of things that you have done: teacher, dance teacher, author, and this amazing nominee. How did you get into the writing?
Well, I suppose I always wanted to write, so absolutely, it's just my kind of happy place. So I always loved that. And when I was teaching, one of my favourite times of the day was when you set aside the geography and the maths and everything, and you can read a story at the end of class. So from that point of view, my first book was a children's book, and that's when I started. That's 20 years ago now. And then once I was involved in it, once you've seen the book out there and had the joy of kind of reading it to kids and stuff, it just all took off from there.
So you went from children's books to writing very adult books that have very serious themes around child neglect. And even you talk about, we have this sanitized image of what it was like growing up, and actually you don't quite agree with that.
Well, I suppose, and this maybe comes from my years of teaching, but also I worked for a while on a children's helpline, but I would feel that for kids, the world is not always just that little happy place. And we think because they're so cute and their little high-pitched voices, and because things move so fast in childhood, so they can be crying one minute and then running around happily the next. So I think sometimes we think we don't know what's going on for them. And from my point of view, I just always felt that that if we really listen to children, that the playground can be a terrifying place. A kid can come to school having already been through a traumatic morning, or could come to school for a rest from terrible things that are happening at home. So I suppose
they're so resilient, children, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they are. They are. And I suppose in a way, part of my first book was the fantasy version of life that the children had invented for themselves as a way to escape.
And that's If I Tell. That was your first book,
yeah,
right? So they've created this life to get away from sort of the horrors.
Yeah.
But you're on to your second book now, and this is When They See Me, and this is following the same detectives that we had in the first book. So can you tell us about it?
Well, I'm really happy to be back with Laura and Niamh, because once I'd got the characters of Laura and Niamh, they honestly do feel like great friends for me, and they're such good friends for each other. So in this second book, in When They See Me, we're back in Clonchapel, which is the fictionalised place where they live, which is quite like Churchtown, Rathfarnamy kind of area.
It's okay, sorry. There,
but except it's lovely. And no crime.
Except it's lovely.
It's lovely.
Sure,
No.
Oh, people of Churchtown, what has Gill just said?
No crime in Churchtown, no crime. But so we're back there, and Laura has just had her second baby, and she's trying to recover from the case that nearly broke her in the first story. So she's really trying to juggle and weigh up, will she go back? Does she have to go back to work, even though it defines her and she absolutely adores it and she's obsessed, but she struggles with being both things.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Niamh, her friend and partner, is dying for her to get back. So just before the decision is made for them anyway, because an au pair is found murdered tragically in the Dublin mountains, and then a second body appears. So at that point, they realise that there could be a possibility of a pattern or a serial killer, so they have to go back. Laura has to go
the
back.
crime. It's just it's so many of these, like, isn't it? These books, like. And we were talking about this the other day, that women love true crime, and there's just such an engagement in it as well. You've spoken as well about, you were a primary school teacher before, and you kind of take some of the parents in different professions to kind of help create the characters for these.
Definitely. Well, it's, you know, primary school...
Not around church town, though.
Not around church town. Well, primary school teaching is a very sociable job, you know. I mean, apart from the kids you're meeting all their families, and if you're involved in a school, you have this wide body of friends that you've met over the years. So, yes, I'm afraid I shamelessly used all my, you know, I've families who are psychiatric nurses and doctors, or have contacts in the medical profession if I need medical advice. I have advice from chemists. I've taught a number of pharmacists' children, and that's in the dancing. And then I have a kind of a little guard of family of 4, and I mean, they're not my family, but I've sort of put them together.
With the guards.
In with the guards. So they have been so helpful and are always happy to
Do
answer.
you need a rugby player?
Do you know,
former rugby player in the contact book for book number 3.
Because I know
as
someone.
a victim.
As a victim?
Yeah, exactly.
No, we could never. Yeah.
But it's so funny because, you know, what you say, and I know you've got your fictional village, but also, you know, a body is found in the Dublin Mountains. So many real life reports begin with a body. Like when I'm in the Dublin Mountains, I'm always like, what am I walking on?
Yes,
because it's like you live at the foot of it. And
absolutely.
Like the stuff that goes on up there, it really must trigger the imagination, and it's awful because it's real.
Yeah, and it's so wild there. And, you know, if ever I'm out walking the dog, I'm kind of like, you know, the body's always found by a dog walker. A woman walking her dog always finds, you know, a severed limb or something.
That'll be you one day as well. You're all
out with the dog. I mean, the dog takes you crazy places as well. Liz Nugent's huge. I can just see her here in the back of one of the books as well. Big fan as well, and it's giving you lots of advice.
Yeah, well, the Irish crime writers community have been, everybody is just so friendly. I mean, I had no idea of this because I had lived up till then in the world of children's books, where everybody is also very friendly. But, you know, Liz had done that absolutely lovely comment for the book. She'd read the book, and I was so made up, and I just sent her a little text, message her saying, thank you so much. And she kindly took the time to give me, you know, a long message of good tips, loads of advice for a starting off author in this world. So, yeah, but everybody has been so... Well, one of it was get to bed early.
Kill a rugby player in a book.
Based in the Wicklow Mountains.
Yeah. Well, no, there was. I couldn't tell you some of it because I'd have, you know, secrets. But as practical as, you know, get to bed early and take your vitamins, because physically, especially when you're promoting a book, you know, you are going around. So practical and really helpful.
A few minutes ago,
Yes.
You're in this. You know, you've got 2 books now, 2 thrillers with the same characters at the core, and people can get very, very attached to their main characters, like Jane Casey, another Irish author. Her 2 characters that people are obsessed with them. So how are you finding growing with them? Will we see them again in a book number 3?
You definitely will see them in a book number 3. I'm working on it at the moment, and yeah, I am so fond of them. They are as real to me, as I say, as friends. So definitely. Definitely. But I have to put them through their paces. They have to. You know, they do have to.
Well, Shaw and Darmody in book 3. Shaw, Darmody and Beau. It'll be amazing. This is the second book from Gill Purdue, When They See Me. It is out now, and a huge congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you with us, Gill. Thank you very much. Now, after the break, Edward Hayden is making a deliciously messy dessert, perfect for the bank holiday barbecue weekend. Look at that.
Oh, look at them. What are they? Let's pretend.
It's like Father Ted and Dougal, isn't it? From the... We're going to see them both after the break. Well, he sorted us out with something a little savoury earlier on that I absolutely devoured. And now Edward Hayden is back to whip us up a sweet treat.
Yes, it's a no stress Eton Mess. No stress, Eton Mess.
Absolutely.
Edward
there you
Mess.
have it. That's it. Now, this is just a really, really gorgeous dessert, and it's a gorgeous summer dessert. I was telling you earlier on, it was originally done to kind of commemorate kind of a match in Eton versus All Hallows, I think. In the UK. Very posh. It was a cricket game, and this then became like the annual dessert that they had for that.
Wow.
It's really a dessert of choice in terms of at its simplistic form. It's strawberries, cream and meringues. So what's that not to love?
Go wrong.
So I just thought I'd do it as a really nice summer dessert because I'm getting ready for all of the summer festivals. I'm heading for Taste of Dublin a little bit later on in June. So it's on from the 15th of June, and there's lots of things happening. I know
It's
you're
always
a regular.
great event,
It's always a super event, and I'm doing a couple of demonstrations.
Make sure to go check Edward out now. It'd be well worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, listen, absolutely. It'll be well worth it.
You're there on the Thursday, aren't you?
I'm there on the Thursday. I'm teaming up with 2 comedians for a little bit of culinary chaos, I think.
Comedians?
Now, 2 really good ones. Killian and Emma, and they're absolutely fabulous.
Oh, Emma Dorn.
Yeah, Emma Dorn.
Emma, that's Warren's podcast mate.
Emma Dorn and
good.
Killian, I think Anderman or...
Yeah. Hilarious.
So I'm going to do that, and it'll be absolutely fabulous as well. Seeing as I'm used to the 2 of ye, I think that's how I got the gig. Now, listen, I'm going to elevate it a little bit. So I'm going to make a lovely berry compote to go with this. So what I've got here is I've got some strawberries. I've got a little bit of water. I've actually put a little bit of water there just in my saucepan. And then I've just got some mixed berries. So I've got some lovely strawberries. I've got some raspberries, and I've got some blueberries.
Thanks, Al.
Listen, I tell you, I have Debbie McGee here beside me.
There we go. Just to show
What are you trying to show us there?
Just trying to show you the water, what it's like.
Show the strawberries in the water.
So it's literally just gone into water.
It's literally just gone in. We're going to kind of cook that down. I'm going to stew that down into a lovely compote. So I've got some raspberries and some blueberries that I'm going to pop in there as well.
How long would that take to do that?
Literally the shortest amount of time. So I've got a bit of sugar, Helen, as well. So just put in a couple of spoons of sugar, and then I'm going to put in a lovely bit of lemon in there as well, a bit of lemon juice in there. And then I'm just going to turn on the heat underneath that. And we're going to cook that there for about 3-4 minutes is all it'll take. And the resultant mixture is this lovely compote.
What sort of
think
heat
about that.
would you put that on?
Put it up at a nice good high heat, Tommy, and
Just
let it come to the boil. Don't even stir it because you don't want the berries to kind of completely render down. You want them. So think of that for your porridge or your pancakes or whatever. It's absolutely gorgeous. So what I'm going to do then is I've got some meringues here. So I'm just using the shop-bought meringues. So I'm literally just going to squash those up, just like so. Into my bowl. As I said, if you got a phone call to say that you were having a few visitors, if you have these staple ingredients, this is really dead handy. And it's very impressive because it's absolutely gorgeous to eat, It's just really nice to eat. Now, so squash all of those up just like so.
You're doing all of them.
Oh, listen, I have a big family here, so I might as well look after everybody. So into that then, I'm going to put some of my whipped cream. So I have a nice good bit of whipped cream there, and I'm going to pop that in there also. And then I'm going to put in a few of the fresh berries, and I'm also going to put in a few of the bits of berry compote in there as well.
This is a stupid question.
Don't ask it then.
The whipped cream, that's just normal cream, and how much, how long do you kind of whip it for?
Now, it all depends whether, it all depends whether you're doing it with the electric mixer or whether you're doing it with a hand mixer. So I did that with my little hand whisk here this morning. So talk about 4 or 5 minutes there to just get it going up. But just be careful with it as well. Now, come here, I tell you all right there?
We're everywhere.
Now, give that a little mash down. Then, as I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the lovely mixed berry compote and squash that in there as well. So just as I said, it's really just mash. Now what I like to do with it is I like to kind of, if you like, even maybe just partially mix it so that it's still a bit rippled in effect, Now what I will say to people is make this as late as you can so that there's still that lovely bit of texture in the meringue there, and that'll be absolutely fabulous. And again, my friend made it for Christmas, and she got her husband to mix it, and he kind of just got a bit overzealous. It was like soup by the time he was finished.
You want a bit of crunch.
So you really want a bit of crunch into it.
Good
so what I'm
advice.
going to do is I'm going to just pop
make one up
these in here.
first of all.
I'll make one up for sure and certain. Pop that in there just like so. I've got a little few berries here to go on the top, so a little bit of strawberry. And as I said to you, I just like to do it kind of like a little cocktail. So I've got a little bit of fresh mint. I've got a little bit of flake, you know, from your 99.
Well, and that's a good flake as well.
Oh,
Look,
the flakes.
There's no crumbling in this one. This is
I'm
good
telling
quality.
you, everything is
elevated
down in Graignamanagh. We don't have anything dodgy in Graignamanagh. I've got the little umbrella, except myself. Yeah. And they deport me every week up here. They send me up here. Little umbrella here as well. It just adds to that really summer vibe. So I've got one of those.
There you go. Look at that.
And here, because I'm celebrating Taste of Dublin, I'm also giving some lovely little Key Royales for you this morning. Ooh. So I've got some lovely Prosecco here.
You keep some of this.
And I'm going to keep some of the lovely syrup. And I'm going to pop those in so that you can toast Taste of Dublin.
Darling,
so nice little bit of fizz in the morning.
Edward,
and
you
are
have
lovely.
One. Go on.
Not at all, not at all, not at all.
Cheers, my dears.
I want you to have
the
it.
sunshine.
And look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. So
it's just a gorgeous dessert.
Let's get stuck in. Here you go, Maureen. You weren't here earlier.
Did you hear Edward's performing with Emma Doran at the
Taste of Dublin?
Taste of Dublin.
Yes, I'm giving her some
if you think you have a hard time with us here,
well, listen, I have my training well done, so regardless what happens at Taste of Dublin, it won't be anything like what happens at Ireland Day.
I think that she's going to turn the air blue and you're not going to know what to do with yourself when she starts talking out loud. It'll be great crack. She's not allowed into her kitchen now, you know that.
Okay,
well, is that nice?
She's going to pop into mine for the day. Now, there is those. So they're just lovely. It's a real kind of an indulgent dessert there as well.
Absolutely fab. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No.
Oh my God, that's so good. Okay, yeah, coming up on tomorrow's show, he's tended to the tresses from everyone from Princess Diana now to Kate Moss, hairdressing legend Sam McKnight. Will be showing us some sexy summer hairstyles.
Just
It's hair, not just hair.
Plus,
just
in
hair.
movie reviews, Brian Lloyd is going to be here. He's going to be talking all things Spider-Man and the Boogeyman.
So we'll see you back here tomorrow from 7. Have a great day. Enjoy the sun.
Bye. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Edward.